Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sam. So I recently took the van out to the Alps for a bit of snowboarding. And before I left, there was a few jobs that I did to winterize the van and just make life a little bit easier in sub-zero temperatures. So I thought I'd do a few videos on the jobs that I did to get the van ready for the trip. One of the first things that I did was to install a product called the tank blanket. Now I've got a 50 litre grey water tank underslung on this van, and last year when I took the van away, didn't have that. We just had a bucket that the washing up drained into, and one night we forgot to empty the bucket before we went to bed, and the bucket froze, split the bucket. That just got me thinking, you know, that exact same thing is gonna happen to my grey water tank, apart from instead of being, you know, a few quid for a bucket, it's, you know, I think it was £100 or thereabouts for the grey water tank. So definitely didn't want that splitting whilst we were out there. Started doing a bit of research on the topic, and it seems like most people go for a heat probe. So you basically drill a hole in the side of the tank and then mount just a 12-volt probe that provides heat. That seemed like a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest, especially as a retrofit. Might be alright if you're just fitting the tank and the tank's already off, but any jobs underneath the van are a pain in the arse, pretty uncomfortable, so you want to try and spend as little amount of time as possible. So the thought of lying under the van, drilling holes in the tank, fitting in a probe, making sure you've got a good seal, possibility of it leaking, just did not appeal to me. So it got me thinking that there must be another way to stop your underslung tanks from freezing. Obviously you could try insulating it. Again, that seemed like a lot of faff. Are you really going to be able to insulate it sufficiently to stop it freezing? I think it got down to -10 when we were out there. Probably not. So I came across this product called the tank blanket. It wasn't particularly cheap, but I decided to go for it, and I've just been really impressed with it. Just the simplicity of it, how well it works, yeah, how easy it was to install. Don't need to drill any holes in the tank, none of that, not worried about leaks or anything like that. So yeah, let's have a look. I'll show you it in situ under the van, and just talk you through how I installed it. So this is the tank blanket here. You can see that it's really quite simple. It's not that big, so that's the back end of the tank there, and that's the front end. You can see that I obviously need to get these brackets off and get them sprayed up because they're rather rusty. So yeah, it just goes across the width of the tank. I'll try and get a view of the other side. So yeah, it goes across the width and then just goes up onto the side of the tank there. Well, that's actually started to come unstuck there a little bit, so I might just tape that up. Anyway, very simple. It's 2 wires, a positive and a neg. I've then got that in conduit, working its way to the front of the van and going up into the van just there. So in terms of positioning this, that's the outlet there. It's recommended that you fit this heat pad closest to that outlet rather than inlet points. That way you can always drain the tank, and also any inlets are likely to be warmer water, so they're less likely to freeze. So anyway, yeah, really impressed with this product. Didn't have any problems with my tank freezing. I did have problems with one of the inlet pipes freezing. Which I kind of thought was going to happen. So you can see I've done a bit of a bodge running repair on this. So this comes down from the sink and then into the tank there. Basically this whole pipe was just freezing up. So I need to get this off, redo it, and think about how I stop that from freezing for next time. But yeah, so the tank was good. It was just the pipe going into it that wasn't so good. So in terms of the process for sticking that onto the tank, I just cleaned the tank off with some methylated spirits. It says on the pad to only use isopropanol, which is basically neat alcohol. Couldn't actually get hold of any of that in time. Isopropanol is one of the chemicals within methylated spirits, so I just thought that that would be all right, and it seems to have stuck really well. You can see that where I've just bent it up over that edge, it started to come off a little bit, but to be honest, I would expect that. I don't think the rest of it is going anywhere anytime soon. So that was all it was in terms of sticking the pad to the tank. The other bit was just a bit of simple 12-volt wiring. I made the cable up before I attached it to the tank, so then I just needed to run some conduit, attach that to the bottom of the van, and then feed it up through the floor in the van. Okay, so that is the cable coming up through the floor there into this bit of conduit, then goes through there into my electrical compartment. So it's this bit of conduit here, then goes up into this cluster of cables. The negative then splits off down into my negative bus bar there. That's the actual negative for the tank blanket. The positives continue through this ply bulkhead there, which goes down to my switches. So that's the positive there, and it just goes on to that second goes on to the second from bottom switch, and these are all individually fused, so I didn't need to install an inline fuse. My switchboard on the van had a couple of spare slots, so it's just a matter of wiring it into the existing setup and using this switch here as the one for the tank blanket. There's a few different sizes that they do. I went for the smallest one. They kind of size them according to the capacity of your tank. So my tank's 50 litres, so I went for the tank blanket 90, which will do anything up to 90 litres. So more than adequate, despite it only actually being stuck on a section of the tank. In terms of current draw, on the website it states that the tank blanket 90 draws about 4 amps. If you've got a 12-volt battery, so you've got 100 amp hours, you leave it on for 8 hours overnight, you're going to use about 32 amp hours. So your battery will be pretty flat by morning, but provided you move in the next day, shouldn't be a problem. And When I was using it in France, I was at campsites, so plugged in, so power consumption really wasn't an issue at all. I'll put some links down in the description to where I bought this from. It's worth saying I'm not endorsed or paid to promote this. It's just a product that I found really good and been impressed with. As I said, super easy to install. I'd be interested to hear people's thoughts. Couldn't find a lot of information on this topic, so yeah, just be interested to hear what other people do. So if you found this information useful, please give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on future content. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.